You mentioned Jonathan Toews. So yesterday we talked about it a little bit, like Jeff brought him up if he could be an option for the Oilers. And someone said the Oilers don't need more leadership. They're a veteran team. But then he talks about like Shea Weber, like established the culture there. And then Mike Ribeiro, he comes in and he has to fit in. If the Oilers were to acquire someone like Toews, like how does that go in the sense of like, not necessarily just him, but like someone who's like Captain Serious, like how does he just fall back in and then like help lead the leadership? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's a tricky dynamic, right? Because the other thing is, like, you don't want to insert a player that's going to make other players feel like they have to walk on eggshells. Too, right. Like, you have guys, the younger guys that you want to have confident role. But I just don't think you can have enough leadership for what the Oilers are looking for, too. Like, whether it's quiet leadership or a player like Jonathan Toews. And I think for him, it's the role that he would accept at this point, right? Like, he would go and do anything, I think, to be on a winning team and a culture. And again, the point I would make is, like, Zdeno Chara, like, breaks his jaw and he can't even play, but they still like dress him. Where they like, it would have been more beneficial to like have a player on the bench to play. Sometimes having guys in those roles, like at the end of the day, the Oilers aren't going to win the cup or lose the cup whether they have Jonathan Toews, in my opinion. It's more just setting a standard, I think, around the room. And like, this is how you carry yourself in this moment. And there's still so much value in hockey, in my opinion, that we value like personality off the rink, experience, and it still holds a lot of water with a lot of GMs and brass.
Yeah, and there's, like you said, like almost a ripple effect to like some other guys. Well, yeah, you're right, Aaron. That's why Calvin Biggard's still kicking around the Oilers.
That's why I ended up like, I got a deal in Arizona. Like I could bear my ankle. I hurt my ankle. I had to get surgery. I was done. I hadn't had a skate on in like, I don't know, it was 8 months. I couldn't move my ankle, and my agent, because Armstrong knew me from St. Louis. So he gave me the deal in Arizona. They had Darcy Kemper. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to go back. And they're like, no, you're the guy.
It'll be just like watching Pekka.
Yeah, 100%. This is awesome. I'm just going to show up, collect my paycheck. But then it got to the point where I wasn't even playing. I wasn't even close. And Army would bring me on road trips because he wanted me to be around Vejmelka. And he wanted me to be around the team because he knew the way that I care. And not that I was like this difference maker by any means, but there's so much value in like the rapport that you carry as a teammate, as being a pro, like I talked about with Eki, right? Like Ekholm is a guy that like you want him around young defensemen. You want these guys to be brought up the right way to understand how to last in the league.
Yeah. I have one more player question. You played with Curtis Lazar for 2 years in Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Briefly. He just played his 600th game the other day. Well, last game, wasn't it? But they said between, I think it was his 200th game to his 300th game or 300, 400. It took him 1,000 days to play between them. Like, what was he like as a teammate? Because it seems like the quotes that come out of the dressing room now, he's just like very down-to-earth guy, just likes to have a laugh and play hockey.
And works
really hard.
I think a guy that doesn't have a ton of expectations on what he's going to do and accepts his role.
Yeah.
And that's the trickiest part, right? Is like accepting your role, whether it's going to be you're going to have a 14-minute night or you're going to have a 6-minute night. Or you're going to be like, you don't do nothing the whole game. And you're like, you're going to go take an important faceoff and we need you to win that draw. And again, I think part of the culture, I think culture is such a weird buzzword, but like seeing players that have lasted that long for everybody to be like, I'll do anything you need. Right. Like, and again, I think that's where he adds value. And his time in Buffalo, there was times where he wouldn't get a lot of time. Right. But he would start in overtime and win a draw. Right. And then he'd go change. And I think like that just is like the selflessness of like being involved in the team. And again, there's so many different stories that I think back to. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. Jake Allen had a really good series against Minnesota one year, and we knocked him off. He was a weird guy. With equipment, love to dry his skates between periods because he would like sweat so much. Okay. So I would actually take his skates and like have the blow dryer on him. And guys used to rip on me, but I'm like, I'm here, I'm part of this, I'll do anything. And I think that's, again, looking back on my career, it's like, those are the controllable things you can do. Yeah. Like if you play good or don't play good, like, yeah, that sucks. But as a goalie, like, why wouldn't everybody in the team love me? I'm the goalie. I'm not even I'm not competing with anybody other than like myself. Yeah. So like control the things you can. And I think Curtis Lazar is a great story about that. Like, you know,
the guy who always pops into my head, and I don't want to like dwell on this, but like Curtis Lazar is 30, has never scored 20 goals in a season, keeps getting contracts. Daniel Sprong's always the guy where every summer we sit here and are like, why doesn't Daniel Sprong have a contract? And he just got kicked off his KHL team a week ago, and he's 28, right? And that's a guy who every year you can put him down for 20 goals, but you get a reputation. I don't know the guy, but like you get a reputation, and team's like, oh, 20 goals aren't worth whatever we got to put up with behind the scenes with this guy, right?
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with like brass still now to this day, is like they value person before player.
Yeah.
Like if it's going to go the opposite way, you better be able to score 30 or 40 or like you have to be an absolute stud to get that priority. Because you hear horror stories about guys as well, but they're usually not third or fourth liners.
Yeah.
They're guys that find the back of the net a ton.
That's fair. What's up, Nation citizens? If you enjoyed today's episode of Oilers Nation Every Day, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube to not miss any of our content. We got you covered from interviews, insight, analysis, everything you need to stay up to date on everything around the team. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video.